Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Walt Wines Happy Hour, where great minds drink alike. You're joining the Hall, Walt, and Baca Wines on Wednesday afternoons, and thank you so much for tuning in today, where we have some great conversation and a nice bottle of wine with some of our favorite people, be it celebrities, entertainers, musicians, comedians, and athletes. We have just a great time, and thank you so much for spending your afternoon with us. We have two incredible guests today from the world of television and sci-fi. Before I do that, I wanted to just give you a quick update of what's going on at the winery. This is the perfect time to be in the Napa Valley in the Sonoma County. As you can see behind me, the weather is incredible. It's beautiful. We're having a really, really warm winter, which is fine. We're okay with that. We got a lot of rain, and now it's time to just share our wines with guests. And so you can sit outside on our verandas and patios at any of our 5 properties to enjoy a great glass of wine and some fine hospitality. Our teams are looking forward to seeing you, and this is the most beautiful time to be here because it's literally all we have going on. With the vines dormant, you might be able to run into some of our winemakers and really get into the wines that we make. So I hope that we will see you soon. Make sure you make your reservations on Hall Wines, Walt Wines, and BacaWines.com. But today, it's all about sci-fi. It's all about action. The two guests that I have today, I've actually been following since the early 00s. They've been in some great shows or producing great shows. But most recently, our guests today are known for their work on Amazon's The Expanse. It's a great sci-fi film about, as we as humans start to venture out into outer space, and they've got some great stories to share with us. So in a moment, we're going to bring on The Expanse's showrunner, Naren Shankar. But before I do that, I wanted to bring on one of their stars, someone who joined us earlier last year, Shohreh Aghdashloo. Shohreh, are you out there?
Yes, I'm right here. Hi, Jeff. How are you doing?
I'm excellent. Thank you, Shohreh, so much for coming. Cheers to you.
Cheers to you too. A glass of wine in the sun, in the backyard. I'll take
Yes,
it.
yes.
Please, I'll make a reservation right after this because it sounds so delicious. Glass of wine,
You're very
sun,
kind.
backyard.
We would love to
Cheers.
host you. It's amazing. Well, cheers. And I really appreciate you coming on. I know that you were you had a busy interview yesterday. You're on, I think, USA today on the covers. So congratulations to all of your success. And
Such a
I
pleasure. Thank
just
you.
wanted to point out that Saturday Night Live is famous for having their 5-time hosts. You are one of a handful of people. We haven't been at it that long. You're joining Martin Short, Catherine O'Hara, Julia Dreyfus, Sherry Som as returning guests. So we just can't thank you enough for being with us today. Thank you.
Likewise. What an honor. Thank you.
So how have you been since we last saw you last January?
Working,
It sounds
running. Yes, I'm now expecting 3 of my works that I have done last year up until February 9th. A flight
okay.
attendant,
Mm-hmm.
the TV series, also an amazing guest role on a series called Chad, which
Uh-huh.
is hilarious, and a horror film, Run, Sweetheart, Run.
Okay.
That was made by Blumhouse, which is
Uh-huh.
coming out soon.
Uh-huh.
Uh, I did a couple of voiceovers,
Uh-huh.
games, and Arcane, of course.
Oh, okay.
just keep, just keep working because now that my daughter is old enough to take care of herself, I might
Uh-huh.
as well dedicate myself to my profession that I'm in love
Yeah.
with.
That's amazing. I also heard that you are going to be co-starring with Nick Cage in a new Renfield, a new Dracula
We,
movie,
we,
I
we've
think.
already started it.
Okay.
We've already started. We're almost 2 weeks into this, and I cannot even tell you how much I'm enjoying myself working with these amazing actors: Nicolas Cage, Nicholas Hoult, Ben
Hmm.
Schultz, Aquafina. My God, the list is long. It's really star-studded, and from the sets, obviously I cannot elaborate on what's happening on the sets,
Oh
but
yeah,
the look of the sets are just spectacular.
that's amazing.
Spectacular out of this one. I was telling Chris, our
Uh-huh.
director, the other day that, Chris, I'm dying to see this movie in a theater. And he goes,
Uh-huh.
don't worry, Shohreh, soon it's going to be in a theater and soon you would be able to watch it. But honestly, because I'm right in the middle of it, they're filming it, but I look around and see the stunt work and I see the actions and stuff. And I'm thinking, wow, how is it going to reflect on the silver
Yeah.
screen?
Yeah.
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 And what a nice gentleman, Mr. Cage.
Mhm.
All of them. Nicholas Holt as well, Ben. We're already a
Uh-huh.
family in only a couple of days. But what nice gentleman. And Aquafina, I love her. The moment after we started getting to know each other in a
Mhm.
greeting party, I went to her and she was going through her cell phone. And I couldn't help myself because I love that woman. So I pat her shoulder and said, I love you. And she goes, oh, come on, stop it. I love you too. It's great. I can't wait for you guys to watch it.
No, I mean, it's must be so incredible, building those families. You build a little family, you film like, intensely for a short period of time, and then you have another family that you join. I was going to ask you about. I have to think that the flight attendant and the Expanse were close in filming production. Is that right?
That's right. As soon as I finished The Expanse,
Uh-huh.
2 or 3 weeks later, I started flight attendant. Yes.
So do you ever like? I'm not an actor. I would never be able to do that. But like, is there ever a time when you're like, you get the line wrong from the wrong movie because you've just been in so many shows that you're like, how do you hold it all together?
Jeff, I love that question. Not the line. I never make that mistakes. But the name. I started
Oh.
working on flight attendant, and prior to that, I forgot to tell you that I participated in a British film
Hmm.
about the fairy tales,
Oh.
and my name in that movie, which we shot in Santa Barbara, is Brenda.
Cool.
So
Uh-huh.
in this one, I have a different name, but I kept saying, "Hello, my name is Brenda," and I told Kaylee was laughing her heart out. I said, Kaylee, for God's sake, I portrayed this role for a couple of weeks and now I cannot get it out of my mind. It's like I'm Brenda. And she goes, I know that happens. I know it happens sometimes, but not the lines. No, not the
No,
lines.
okay,
But
good, good. I
I,
was gonna say I wouldn't be able to do either. So
no, no,
congratulations for that. Well, speaking of great relationships, I had the chance to hang out with you and Naren. So I'd love to, if it's okay with you, bring on the showrunner for The Expanse, Naren Shankar.
Hello.
Hello, Naren. How
hello.
are you today?
Hello. Cheers.
Cheers to you, sir. How are you?
Cheers
How
to
you
you.
doing? Cheers. Well, the traditional toast to the Expanse is to evil.
Oh, too evil. You're right.
Oh, nice. That's nice. Let's do that.
Well, I came up with that, so
I have just gotten in. I apologize that I'm slow to pick up, but I'm a huge fan of everything you did with Star Trek. 24, Shohreh, you were on 24, so that was a great season for me. So I've been picking you both up along the way without knowing it. So the minute I found out that I was hosting you, I crashed an entire season of The Expanse in about 3 days. So
Oh boy.
terrific show, by the way, for those who have not picked it up. But Naren, I had some burning questions for you. Just I was looking at your bio, and before we get into The Expanse, I just had a couple of questions I want to ask you about. So you've been able to go from earning a PhD at Cornell to being a showrunner for The Expanse. Is that a normal pathway for that degree?
Oh, I would say it's a highly abnormal pathway for that degree. It's not. It's not a normal transition. I started out actually as an art student at Cornell. I was studying French literature and history and medieval studies, and I decided that that was not probably going to get me a gainful employment. And I had always loved science and math.
Mhm.
So I transferred into the College of Engineering, and I stayed there through undergraduate and into the PhD program. And while I was working on my dissertation, the way I always describe it is I started feeling like I was becoming more and more of an expert on a smaller and smaller corner of the universe.
Okay.
And so I just started going back and taking courses in history and literature. And by the time I finished, I decided I didn't want to be an engineer. And I got through. I got my degree because my parents would have been very, very sad if I did not. And then I told them that I had a couple of friends that I had done a lot of creative writing with in college, gone out to LA to break into the entertainment industry. And they said, come out and be a screenwriter. And I was like, I'll do that. And it was that much thought. And, in some cases, ignorance is strength. And I told my parents I was going to go out to LA and be a writer. And they were so sweet. They were very supportive. And as I was driving away from the house, my mom told me years later, as soon as the car got out of sight, she burst into tears. And they were adorable and sweet and highly supported. And I got very lucky pretty quickly and ended up on Star Trek: The Next Generation, an internship program with the Writers Guild. And that led to being a science consultant. And then about a year after I got out to LA, they put me on staff. I got a chance to write a script, and that led to a staff job. And that was a long time ago.
Yeah, well, I was a huge Trekkie. My dad and I were big Trekkies, so The Next Generation was a great run. And
it was a great show, good people, and a great place to start a career and start learning about television.
Yeah. And then Shohreh, you actually starred on the most recent remake of Star Trek, I think, if that's right. You had a part as Commodore in that.
Yes. Oh my God, I was so excited. I called my brothers because back in Iran, when we were children, we were all fans of the Star Trek. So I called them and I said, "Guess what? I'm in Star Trek." And my brother said, "Which animal?" I said, "I'm not an animal." They said, "They don't put a mask on you." Nah, they don't. Then what are you doing? When I told them who I was, they were like,
You're like the head of the Federation or Starfleet commander, right? You were a big shot.
No, she was in charge. Like she was the Commodore. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's all that Shohreh does these days. She's in charge. She's in charge on the Expanse, charge in Star Trek. That's how she rolls.
Yeah. No,
they should trust me. They should trust me. I'm now a wizard. I've learned.
Nice. Okay, covering all the bases, science and magic.
So no, I mean, dead straight. I mean, so Naren, when you were creating the show, the Expanse. Now I'm leaning into the Expanse. And what does the showrunner do? And did you know that Shohreh was out there for you to be as the only thing I can say is a badass as she was in the show?
Well, first of all, just to clarify, Ty Frank and Daniel Abraham, who are collectively James S.A. Corey, they wrote the books. Hawk Osby and Mark Fergus, feature writers, wrote The Amazing Children of Men and Iron Man. They wrote the pilot. And I was brought in to showrun it after that it all happened. Shohreh was one of the very first people who we talked about as coming into the show. And it was, you knew Mark and Hawk from Topanga, right? I mean, you guys are neighbors, right?
Yes. Naren, I met them at the Palm Springs Film Festivals.
Oh, right. That's right. Yeah.
We started, dining, talking about the movies and stuff. And they said, "Oh, Shohreh, we have to write a role for you." 2 years later, Hawk called me from Yellowstones and said, "I know you usually don't do this. You need to read the script, but we are in a hurry. This is the story and this is the character. Would you trust us?" And I told him, "I love your penmanship. Children of Men, Iron Man. I am at your service. Let's do it together. I love the character." And Naren, every single time, I remember that what kind of a decision I made, because it's not easy not having read the script, accepting the role. And every time I think about it, it gives me a chill. I'm like, what if I had not? Thank God that and obviously I trusted them. As I said, I love their penmanship.
Yeah, and they were. It was literally. I remember you as like the first person that we talked about on the cat side. I think, because you came on board very early. I think you were the first one. Is that right?
That's right. Yes.
You were,
Yeah.
yeah.
In
But
fact, they needed my consent to, and they were signing up with NBC or something, and they needed my consent.
right,
That's,
right.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So, yeah, I mean, so that would just to clarify that. But
Yeah.
what does a showrunner do? It's a, I think that the easiest way to describe it might be, it's sort of like being I think the CEO of a startup.
Okay.
You know, every film production, every television show is like a startup. It's like you got about 150 people who are working to make this thing, and the showrunner it's probably an unusual thing because it crosses it's creative because you're in charge of the writers and the creative vision of the show.
Mm-hmm.
The vast amount of rewriting goes through the showrunner. Sort of everybody kind of goes through, that process. But it's also managerial. It's technical, especially when you're doing effects intensive shows like The Expanse.
Yeah.
Filmmaking is a technical art. You have to kind of you work in a production capacity, you work in a financial capacity, you work in a marketing capacity. So it kind of crosses all of those disciplines, which is honestly what makes it exciting for me. I've been in television a long time. I find it incredibly stimulating. I like the pace of it.
Okay.
It moves very quickly, and I would say it's not for the faint of heart.
Yeah, for sure.
But it really does appeal to me in the sense that it's always a new challenge. It's always something interesting. You can throw yourself into it, you make it, and it gets done, and then you can finish it, and then you can watch it, and then you can go on to something new. And the joy of making television in particular now is you can do these very novelistic stories. You can spend, we made how many episodes of The Expanse? It's like 65 or 66 episodes of it. That is a long, gigantic movie, and you get to drive into character and story in a way that you just can't do in a feature. And I think that's part of what people find so engaging about television these days.
Yeah, what I like about television, especially the fact that we have different, I guess I'll call them channels, right? You have production companies outside the main three, and then cable, right?
Yep.
And so I think actually what's great about, not only for me because I can just crush it. Like I crushed season 5 of 24, I think, at my friend's house over the weekend. I remember doing that. And I just watched the first season of The Expanse in about 3 days. And so that was, highly recommend that for those viewers who haven't watched The Expanse.
Well, the best to come for you then, if you just got through season 1. To come.
I got my wife into sci-fi, so that was pretty cool. So the question I have on just to follow that up, and we have some photos, and I wanted to ask some questions about that, Shohreh. But this is the question to both of you. So in season 1, it's early. Christian's forced to turn on her friend, who's the ambassador to Mars. I think his name was Frank, over dinner. But in that scene, the ambassador's husband is talking about growing a vineyard on Mars. So to Shohreh, how did that wine taste? How did Martian wine taste? And then Naren, is that even possible? You're the resident scientist, so I'm just going to leave that out there. I need to know. I could have a new appellation. Like Martian wine would sell great.
If I'm not mistaken, the lines are like, it tastes like pee.
Well, it's recycled water. It's
You got the line right. Like 6 years ago, you got the line right.
Yes.
So your husband, I think it's your husband in the show, says that's his husband in the show. So Are you saying that you're using gray water to water the vineyard, and this wine is then your pee? And he said, well, no, we haven't turned it on yet.
But how is it possible, Naren? Is it possible?
It's a good question. What we were really hinting at was, and what it really was describing in the story was a Mars that was inching towards being terraformed like Earth, so that it was actually possible to cultivate a vineyard on Mars, like whether it was in a very low-lying, portion of the Mariner Valley, which is very, very deep, where you could actually have atmosphere clinging to it and actually do that, or whether it was inside some kind of a greenhouse type environment. And it was basically saying that this was a marker for showing that Mars was moving towards, civilization, because that is a marker for, if you can cultivate your own wine, you've reached a certain level of sort of sophistication in terms of agriculture. So we didn't really get into the details. These are very good questions, and probably Ty and Daniel might be able to answer those better than me.
Is Ty
Of course.
your assistant
Well,
scientist?
while we're here, I have another question, which for years I kept watching it, but I didn't know what it is exactly. The walls of plants in Rocinante, the plants, small green.
Yeah.
Is that a hint for vertical farming in Mars?
It's not really, but those are the Prax panels. When we had Terry on the show, he installed them because they effectively recirculate. They clean the air because they absorb carbon dioxide and they emit oxygen. So these green walls inside the ship are essentially like air scrubbers. And so Prax, when he was on board the ship in season 3, when he came on board as season 2 and season 3, he installed them in the ship, and we just kind of kept them there after that. They were just a little reminder of that particular character.
When you say farming on Mars, will it be vertical, or we can use the lands?
It would probably. What they're moving towards is terraforming, right? So ideally, they want to create an atmosphere and create an ecosystem to turn Mars into a habitable, second Earth, right? So that suggests using the soil, using the actual environment itself. They weren't there yet. We never got to that in the show.
Well, I hope you do, because
yeah.
Selfishly for me, if so the brand, I guess the moniker that we use for Walt Wines is we make wine from as far north as the Willamette Valley all the way to the Santa Barbara County. So I make Pinot Noir from 1,000 miles. So we say that Walt is about 1,000 miles of Pinot Noir. So if I can start growing wine on Mars, that's a whole new thousands of thousands.
Oh yeah, that's a lot more than 1,000 miles. So that's highly aspirational.
Go big or go home, right?
How are we going to
the universe's best wine?
That's right. That's right. The best Pinot in the universe. There you go.
Cheers to you.
We need more.
Well, we have some photos, Shohreh, that you were kind enough to share us from Instagram. I wanted to just see if we could talk a little bit about what's going on in these. So this is you with a communicator, the ubiquitous phone communicator that's in every episode. Can you tell us what's going on here, if you can recall?
Episode 502. You're looking at
Lily Cow?
Yep, you're looking at Lily. You're on Mars. The Mars state dinner, and you're looking at Lily.
That's right. Yes, the Martian dinner. Oh my God, what an amazing scene that was! And the monologue. I love that monologue. Oh my God, look at that one. That's our makeup artist, Brian. Oh my God. Look at her.
Anna Hopkins, right? Yeah.
Anna Hopkins, yes. We didn't, because of Corona, we couldn't eat inside. If we wanted to eat inside, our compound, we had to sit in small, divided rooms and eat. So we decided to go out and have our lunch by the curbside, and we called it Avenue Champs-Élysées.
That's awesome. And then here it looks like you're getting ready to take the ship.
Getting ready to take some responsibilities after being after wondering what's the right thing to do. And this is what I love about Avasarala. She maneuvers around, keep thinking, and planning, and all of a sudden, when she decides to start, doing it, she just stands up and she calls for it.
Is that from the X-ray? That's from the X-ray, right?
No, it may be from the X-ray, but we had more shots in this. If you recall,
right. More stuff.
That's why I'm not sure if it's the X-ray or the scene that.
Wardrobe. I think it's from the X-ray because of your wardrobe. This is just before you go. Yeah, I think.
Oh yes, you're right. Actually, the wardrobe. I see. Yeah.
So just Naren, for you, so there's a lot of lighting going on in this scene that you can see. Do you, when you're building the set, do you build the set with lighting in mind, or is this just more for the ambiance of the shot?
Well, our cinematographer Jeremy Benning, who was there from the very beginning, is fantastic. And part of the idea that we wanted to get across in the show filmically was that, you know, these are enclosed spaces, these are spaceships. So Jeremy, with the directors, designed all of the sets to essentially be lit from within, so you could close them up and there's no exposed lights, because a lot of times, just based on how we use the camera, you can see ceilings and walls and floors, and you see 360s quite often. And so that doesn't allow you to place lights or light from the floor. And because the sets are enclosed, you can't light from the grid down,
Wow.
right?
Yep.
So all of the sets are essentially self-lit.
Oh, wow.
So that is, but that requires a great deal of thought and design as to where light sources can exist. And then, obviously you sweeten things by putting lights on tables and things, depending on how you're framing. But yeah, it's by and large, the sets were designed that way to achieve that kind of a look.
I thought, just by the way, that the lighting in general on the show is incredible. So I'm in season 1, so I'm thinking of the lighting when Shohreh, when you were in Alaska, and it's just white snow and you're walking across, and then the black and white.
That was Shohreh. That was kick-ass Shohreh. That was a hellish snowstorm, and out there in the cold, and you didn't want to use a double. You were
minus 30, and I'm supposed to.
It was minus 30.
Minus 30. Walking fresh
November.
fresh snow. And that, by the way, that's the best exercise for your thighs. If you ever decide to do that exercise, you have to forcefully put your foot into the snow, and then not just that, pull it out like. And it was like, I did it a couple of times, and then they said, "Okay, we're taking Shohreh," and all I heard was it's now the view of the helicopter. And I turned around and I saw a young woman wearing my iconic red cape, and she was wearing it and walking, and I said, "Over my dead body."
He doesn't walk like you.
And they're like, NBC does not allow you because of safety. I said, I'm not leaving. I'm going to stay here until I froze. You want to see me frozen? Okay, I'm right. And they were calling. I remember that calling back and forth, calling NBC saying, "She is not letting us do it. She's standing right in the front." And finally they said, "Okay, let her do it," because I've had a bad experience with doing that with X-Men. They called me from Vancouver and they said, "It's a helicopter point of view, helicopter shot. And this is when you go greet the Blue Beast. He has arrived, and you go to this helicopter and bring him into the building." They said, "You really don't need to bother yourself. We can find someone here." They did it. But every time I watched that scene, I cursed myself for not doing this. Because with all due respect, the walk that lady does has nothing to do with my walk. For some odd reason, she goes, and I'm thinking, woman, Abasarala has finesse. She's a fully dimensional woman, and one of those eccentric ones. And why on earth are you walking like a happy-go-lucky?
If you want to teach yourself a little humility, it's like, just set up your camera sometime and shoot yourself trying to walk.
Yeah.
Okay. It's not as easy as it sounds. You will look ridiculous. I've done this. Put myself on camera. It's like, no, I look like an idiot. I belong on the other side of the camera. It's like,
exactly. I'm with you. So I would love to toast Shohreh. I'm going to toast you for that, because they didn't give you any, like, there was no snowshoes in that scene. You were dropping 6 or 7 inches. So just to talk about the wine real fast and to toast you. So Shohreh's got a nice bottle of wine from our Hall Wines. We're drinking, Shohreh's got a nice Hall wine. We're drinking our Corners Pinot Noir with Naren and I. And this is a wine from the Anderson Valley, which is a part of California north of the Sonoma County. It's a really, really small part. It's actually a very untapped part of California. It's beautiful Expanse, to use your title, where you see fog come in from the ocean. Can actually get really warm during the summertime, but it's a short season. So the wine itself tends to have a lot of concentration and flavor, but you have only a short amount of time to get that concentration. And if you don't get it in that kind of July, August period, it's a super delicate wine. And so 15 miles north, you're growing a completely different style of Pinot Noir than you are at our Corners Vineyard, which is where this wine is from. And it's right outside the town of Boonville, which is this tiny little town that got cut off from the rest of the world a long time ago. And similar to the Belters, developed its own Creole language, and they call that Bootleg. And so the Corners is the name that the original inhabitants, I guess, of Boonville gave to their town, because it was at the corner of the two main ways to get in. And so we named the wine after the Corners, the original name of the town of Boonville. So cheers to both of you for that.
Cheers to you too. How does your taste, Naren? Mine is so velvety. I love this.
Which one are you drinking? I've got, like I said, we got the Corners. Which one do you have?
She's drinking, I think, the 1873.
Mm.
Yeah, so that's our Hall Cabernet from. If you like our Terra Seca, Naren, you're gonna love that wine too.
Okay.
I love it. I love this one. It tastes velvety. I know it's not as old. It's not a 19th century or 20th century wine, but how do you do this? How do you make it? Because it's dense and it's velvety. How do you do that? Like old wines.
I would answer that question first by I'm more like Naren. I'm the showrunner, so I don't make the wines. I make sure that we do all the things right. So thank you. I'm going to use that now, Naren, in just about everything I do. That I'm the showrunner, not the general manager. But I think I appreciate that comment, Shohreh. It's a goal for Megan and Allison. They're our winemakers, to make wines that are dense, that have a lot of richness and concentration, but they spend a lot of time on purity. And I think purity is something that we like to talk about whenever I get to taste the wines with them as it's going through the process of being made. They're looking for purity of flavors. They're looking for those really fine-grained tannins, and they're looking for a seamlessness to the wine, so that it's very just ubiquitous as it crosses the palate. And the tannins, we don't want to interrupt that process. You'll find our tannins both in Pinot Noir, Chardonnay, and Zinfandel really in the recesses of your palate, and that we think is the right way to lay wine down on your palate.
Exactly, because I love to drink a glass or two of wine every night with my dinner. Not only it's because it's good for us women to have a glass or two,
yes,
but also because it helps me to sleep better. With no, sort of, I don't have to wake up here, every moment. And this one just smoothly, and it's obviously it works great with my palate, and then it goes down, and then I go to bed, spend another half hour just exploring ideas, and this just takes me away very smoothly, and it gives me a good sleep. I like old wines.
Thank you.
I am not the first writer to have a romantic love of wine. I will say this. So the thing that I find I love a glass of wine when I'm writing, and what I have found is the interesting thing about running a show is, and the writing process in television is it changes. It's like when you're breaking a story, when you're structuring a season. It's an analytical kind of a process, because screenwriting is a very structured form of writing. It makes it's a very different form than novels, and it requires you understand which scene goes ahead of another scene, and the juxtaposition of those things is highly important. It's a highly analytical thing.
Yep.
When I'm writing, I like to kill the analytical part of my brain. It's like I like want to put the engineer to sleep, and for some reason it's like the glass of wine as I'm writing does that. It just sort of lets me sort of drift a little bit.
Yeah.
And so to this day, it's like I like nothing better than going to like my favorite restaurant, sitting down with a glass of wine, and I still start out every script longhand. I just take a pad of paper and I just write.
Yeah.
And that's how I to this day I still start every writing process that way.
Yeah. It also might be why wine is one of the oldest trades, because we just, we're constantly caught into that same motion of, you were pensively always thinking about how are we going to do this right. If you can have a great career in wine, you may make 30 wines in your entire life. That's kind of how we think about it. It's a little poetic. All right. Well, I appreciate your time. Before you go, I have a quick game that I'd like to play with the two of you. You're awesome, by the way. It's the first time I've had two guests from a show come on, and it's fun to watch you guys talk about it. So I am hopeful that season 7 comes in. Just so you know, I'm all for you. All right.
We got a helicopter there. We're right at the cutaway between the west side and the valley, so we get helicopter traffic like right.
Oh, yeah. And it's rush hour right now, right? So you're in the middle of it. Okay, so I have a game, if you would so indulge me, that we designed. The town of Boonville, as I mentioned, got cut off from kind of most of California, and they developed their own Creole dialect, similar to what happened in the Belt on the Expanse, where the Belters developed their own Creole Belter dialect. So we have a game for you called Belter or Bootling, and we would like you to decide if these words are from the Bootling language or the Belter language. So if I can get a little help from our producer Caleb, the first one is to you, Shohreh.
That's Belter.
That is Belter. That means, do you understand me? Cheers to you. Bang, right off the bat. Okay, the first so the first one goes to Shohreh. The next one, Naren.
Bootling.
Kilo Petty.
Bootling.
Bootling is correct. This is traveling by horse-drawn vehicle or horseback, not to be confused with clickety, which is the noise that a train makes, by the way.
That's a great that is a great word. That is phenomenal onomatopoeia.
That's exactly what it is.
Fantastic. I love it.
Like clickety. It's like
fabulous.
Oh, all right. They're very literal, Naren. Okay, so the next one's, I'm gonna go back to Naren.
Belter.
Winner. I can see this game is going to go really well with the two of you after 6 years. All right. Shohreh, ball.
I don't speak these people's language. I don't know.
That's true.
But ball, ballet, ball, ballet.
Just ball.
Belter.
This is bootling, actually. This means good or of excellent quality. And the most used second word is ball horning, which means good drinking. It's their version of cheers in bootling. So that's okay.
Right.
We'll give you the next one.
Come on. That's not even a challenge.
Copen. So, Shohreh, this one's for you.
This one's for me? No.
Or
well, not Belter, not Belter.
Oh, I think Naren just gave it away. Here's Belter.
Yes. Naren, I love you. Yes, Belter.
We're friends. So we'll use that one next time we have the two of you on. All right, and then I think we have I don't remember them bringing this one on for the show, but okay. I'm Bobo Rome. Naren, do you know if this is Belter or Bootling?
Boy, that's the toughest one so far, but I'm going to go with Bootling for this one.
This is Belter. Rum Hole Bar.
I have failed. Oh no. Oh,
I'm glad we got you. It's not often that you can get the show's creator to actually miss on his own language.
Boy, Imboba. I should have gone with the Imboba. Yeah, I was on the fence. Tough.
A lot of rum gets drank at those bars, I can see, by the way. It's a substitute for water. Okay. And then Freddy Shams. How about Bootleg or Belter, Shohreh?
Bootleg.
There you go. This is actually one I know. This is Grapevines.
Nice.
All right, and then we have one more for you.
Well, that's perfect. Belter.
Belter.
So this is Belter for goodbye. Yeah.
Yes.
If you look very closely, you'll see like on Belter missiles, like they write Oyadeng on them. It's like
really
classic, like the old style, World War II would like write, on the torpedoes and the missiles and bombs.
Yeah. Well, they still do it. Yeah.
Yep.
So, oh dang. Well, thank you. I just want to thank both of you for being with us today, for playing our little game, for creating such a great show. By the way, it's so much fun. It's nonstop action, and you have some great actors and actresses, Naren and Shohreh. I hope you're whenever you can stop and you can both come up to Napa and Sonoma to visit us. We would love to have you.
As a matter of fact, I would love to, Naren. Let's go to that place. It's amazing, and
we'll do an Expanse retreat. We'll do an Expanse retreat. We'll get the whole gang to come down. It'll be amazing.
Oh, that would be great.
We'll get a bunch of people. So much fun in Napa. It'll be a blast.
Yeah.
Let's do that. Oh my God, can you imagine?
I'd love to do a reunion. So, all right. So I'm going to just call it. We'll see you all in 3 months. Shohreh, are you going to be done with filming in 3 months?
May, yes. I'll be free by mid-May. Yes,
okay.
Yes.
All right.
Let's do it then. It's beautiful. The weather is gorgeous and everything. Oh my God. Naren, I'm so happy to see you.
It's so lovely.
Thank you for being in my life. Thank you for having me in this show. I would always wear it as a badge of honor. I love you. Thank you.
I love you too, my dear. This is so nice. This is one of those rare times and rare work experiences where the people who made the show genuinely love and care for each other. We had such a good time making it, and thanks for putting us back together for this evening of drinks and fun. Really appreciate it.
I'd be happy to do it again. Let's do it in person. How's that sound?
Anytime you like that. It's great. Thank you so much.
Cheers, Naren Shankar and Shohreh Aghdashloo.
Of course.
Thank you so much for joining us today on the Walt Wines Happy Hour. That was amazing. We went over. I apologize. I had to let them go. They were just having too much fun. Well, please join us. We're going to take a week off next week. We're going skiing. So hope that you'll have a chance to enjoy some outdoor activity as well. In the meantime, as I mentioned, our tasting rooms are open. It's a beautiful time to come visit. You might meet some big stars at our wineries. So we hope to see you soon. Be sure to check out Hall Wines Instagram, Facebook, the Walt Wines Instagram, Facebook, and follow us on all of our social media. That's where you'll hear when we're having these big stars back on. We can't wait to see you all soon. We look forward to sharing a glass of wine. Please do good and drink well. Cheers.